Hello, Factory family. Oh, we miss you all so much and can't wait to see you soon. My name is Pastor O'Neill, for those of you who do not know, and welcome to the Factory Service. Yeah! Today, you are in for a special treat. My daughters, Jalea and Jalea, will be teaching today to show us that you are never too young to reach and to teach. Reach those around the world as well as teach the Word of God. We are excited that you are participating, and parents, we know that this lesson is designed for children ages 1 all the way to 5th grade. That's who we reach. It's part of our lessons when we do our teachings in the factory. So we do understand that they might not have social media. So we encourage that you take this time to invite your kids to come and sit down and be a part of today's lesson, be a part of our praise and worship. Participate. Please use the chat feature that's displayed below you, right below, right here, and type in answers, because we're going to be asking some questions and different interactive things as we move forward with today's discussion. Now, I want for you to go ahead and relax and stretch a little bit and get some room as we get ready to kick off our service with praise and worship. After praise and worship, you're going to see Jalea and Jalea come on as they provide us with the word. So get ready for praise and worship.
Hi guys, hope you enjoyed praise and worship. Now we're going to jump into the lesson. Today we're going to learn about who Saul, David, and Solomon were. We're going to learn about them being good leaders and how good leaders have a heart for Jesus. we're going to jump into the Bible in 1 Samuel 16, 1 through 13, talking about how Samuel anoints David. So Samuel goes to Bethlehem. The Lord said to Samuel, "How long will you feel sorry for Saul? I have rejected him as king of Israel. Fill your horn with oil and go to Bethlehem. I am sending you to Jesse, who lives in Bethlehem, because I have chosen one of his sons to be king." But Samuel said, "If I go, Saul will hear the news and try to kill me." So at this point, Samuel's afraid. He doesn't want to go because he thinks the old king is going to be upset with him, but he needs to do what God told him to do. So the Lord said, "Go to Bethlehem, take a young calf with you, and tell them, I have come to make a sacrifice to the Lord. Invite Jesse to the sacrifice, then I will show you what to do. You must anoint the person I show you." So at this point, Samuel is going to Bethlehem to go and get Jesse and tell him that one of his sons is going to be the new king. Samuel did what the Lord told him to do and went to Bethlehem. The elders of Bethlehem shook with fear. They met Samuel and asked, "Do you come in peace?" Samuel answered, "Yes, I come in peace. I come to make a sacrifice to the Lord. Prepare yourselves and come to the sacrifice with me." Samuel prepared Jesse and his sons. Then he invited them to come and share the sacrifice. When Jesse and his sons arrived, Samuel saw Eliab and thought, "Surely this is the man who the Lord has chosen." But the Lord said to Samuel, "Eliab is tall and handsome, but don't judge by things like that. God doesn't look at what people see. People judge by what is on the outside, but the Lord looks at the heart and what is on the inside." At this point, Samuel sees a handsome young man, tall and strong, so he thinks this is the man that God must have sent me to come tell to be the new king. Then Jesse called his second son, Abinadab. Abinadab. Oh, can I just say A? It's okay. Then Jesse called his second son, A. A walked by Samuel. But Samuel said, "No, this is not the man the Lord has chosen." Then Jesse told, gosh, these names. Who's Shama?
Yeah,
Shemaiah?
Shama. Just say something.
Then Jesus told Shammah to walk by Samuel. But Samuel said, "No, the Lord did not choose this man either." So now Samuel is seeing all of Jesse's sons, and that most of them look big. They look like the kind of man that would be the perfect king. But no, these aren't the men that God has chosen. Jesse showed 7 of his sons to Samuel. But Samuel said to Jesse, "The Lord has not chosen any of these men." Then he asked Jesse, "Are these all the sons you have?" Jesse answered, "No, I have another son, my youngest. He is out taking care of the sheep." Samuel said, "Send for him. Bring him here. We want to sit down to eat, but we won't until he arrives." Jesse sent someone to get his youngest son. This son was good looking, healthy, and young. He was handsome. The Lord said to Samuel, "Get up and appoint him. He is the one." At this point, Samuel saw all of his sons. He thought until Jesse tells him that he has a youngest son who is not around at the moment. So they wait for him to get back. Samuel took the horn with the oil in it and poured the special oil on Jesse's youngest son in front of his brothers. The Spirit of the Lord came on David with great power. From that day on, Then Samuel went back to Ramah. Now we're gonna watch a video that basically portrays everything I just read and puts it all into one and brings a lesson to life.
God's story, David and Saul. So part of God's story is about two guys named David and Saul, and it begins like this. You may have heard of David before, the little shepherd boy who stood up to the massive warrior Goliath and won. But that isn't the whole story. In fact, that's really only a part of it. The rest of the story starts with a man named Saul. See, God wasn't very happy with Saul, Israel's first king. The people of Israel had begged God's prophet Samuel to give them a king so they could be more like other nations. God warned the Israelites they would regret it, but gave them Saul as their king. And like anyone, King Saul wasn't perfect and soon started to mess up, disobeying God and leading Israel away from him. And that's where our friend David comes in. God wanted a new king to replace Saul, so he sent Samuel to a man named Jesse. Jesse showed Samuel his eldest sons, big and strong men. Samuel thought for sure that one of these impressive boys was to be king, but God had other plans. God told Samuel to find another son, so Jesse brought in little David. Even though David was a little scrawny and had the smelly job of taking care of sheep, God told Samuel to look at more than his appearance. Samuel obeyed and anointed David, God's special way of choosing people. When David was anointed, the good spirit that had been helping Saul rule left him and was replaced with a new spirit that wouldn't leave him alone. Imagine there was a bee buzzing around in your brain that you couldn't do a thing about. That may be what it was like for Saul. Since Saul was going a little crazy, his servants had David, a great harp player, come to the palace and play music to calm the king. Now, one day, David came to bring his brothers, who were working as soldiers, some lunch. What started out as a lunch delivery soon turned into one of the most famous stories in the Bible, where tiny David took down the massive warrior Goliath with a single stone. After this, David was like a famous rock star. In fact, David was so popular that Saul worried people would start thinking David should be king instead. Saul began to try and kill him, sending him on dangerous quests where any normal guy would have died, and even threw a spear at his head once. Eventually, things got so bad that Jonathan, Saul's son, who David had become great friends with, helped David escape. David wandered for years trying to stay out of Saul's grasp. Twice, Saul even got so close that David had the opportunity to kill him, but David refused to kill the king in charge. David continued to flee from Saul for years, and without God's blessing, Saul's army was losing to the Philistines. Soon enough, Saul's army had been defeated. Jonathan had died, and the Philistines were now chasing them. Saul was so afraid of capture that he chose to fall on his own sword instead of letting the Philistines catch him. When David heard of Jonathan and Saul's death, he went out and avenged them. And with Saul dead, David returned to Israel and at last took his place as God's new king. And that's the story of David and Saul. So, in case you missed it, here's the quick version. God made Saul king. Saul disobeyed God. God said he would take the kingdom away from Saul and chose David. David became popular. Saul became fearful of David. David had to run away. David wandered for years. Saul died. David avenged Saul. David took over as Israel's chosen king. And that's a part of God's story.
I hope you guys were taking notes, but just in case you weren't, Saul, David, and Solomon all led Israel after the judges. Even though we didn't mention this yet, Solomon was David's wise son. Remember that. It's going to come back. Don't forget, bottom line is, good leaders have a heart for Jesus. But now we're going to go into our memory verse, which is 1 Corinthians chapter 8, verses 1 through 3. It says, we all know that we all have knowledge, but knowledge makes people proud, while love builds them up. Those who think they know something still don't know as they should, but whoever loves God is known by God. Never forget, and I hope that you were listening and paying attention, because now we're going to do Jeopardy! Okay, so how Jeopardy works is you guys, I'll make it easy for you. I'm gonna ask a question and you guys are gonna answer in the form of a question. Just in case you're not catching on, let's say I ask, how many letters are in the alphabet? Then you would respond with, what is 26? Do you get it? So when you find your answer, you're gonna insert it below and we're just gonna get started. So the first question is, this was the first king of Israel. Think about it. Insert your answer below. Remember what you learned. The answer is, who was Saul? If you got that, then you did good. You got it right. But if not, try again next time. Go back and try to remember some of the things we learned today. The next question is, this prophet anointed the first and second kings of Israel. 2 books of the Bible are named after him. Think about it. Recite the lesson. Check your notes. The answer was, who was Samuel? If you put that, good job. If not, you'll get it next time. The next question is, this is what God was looking for when he chose Saul's successor. Not his outside looks. But if you remember, put it in the description below and we will tell you what it is. What is the heart? If you got that, great. The next question is, this shepherd was chosen to become Israel's second king. Think. Do you have your answer? Who was David? Good job if you got that. If not, you'll get it next time. Then last question is, this son of David was not only king, but the wisest man who ever lived. I hope you were listening. If not, the answer is, who is Solomon? Remember, I told you it would come back. Well, that was Jeopardy. You guys did amazing. And if not, you listened and you learned something today. I hope you guys had an amazing time with us today. And remember, good leaders always have a heart for Jesus. And our job here is to be good leaders and be a good example and always have a heart for Jesus and his work and his word. And I hope you guys have an amazing day. But I'm going to leave you with a simple prayer. We should sit back and we should ask God to give us a heart like David and remember to have a heart like Jesus at all times. Hope you guys had an amazing day with us, and I hope you guys learned something. Have a good day. Bye.